morning and welcome to Radio Friends on this Thursday, July 21st. It's good to have you with us today, and it's good to have our next guest. This is JOAN STACK,
Hello.
State Historical Society. Good to have you here, Joan.
Oh,
now, here's a lady that I love having on because you are so knowledgeable about every subject and picture that you bring out here. I can sit and just listen to you with the information spewing out.
Oh, well, thanks.
Now, today you wanted to talk about what?
Well, we have a new acquisition that was actually painted in 2016. So often I'm coming here and talking about old paintings.
Yeah, that are very old, but this is a new one.
This is a new one, and it's by an artist that a lot of people in mid-Missouri will be familiar with, an artist by the name of Brian Mahieu.
From Fulton.
He was from Fulton, most recently grew up in Centralia, Missouri, so he has a long history in this area. At one time he had a gallery in the 2000s, so a lot of people may know Brian Mahieu's work, but unfortunately he's leaving us. So he made this wonderful donation of this Missouri painting as a going away present to the State Historical Society.
Now I'm holding a picture of it, and if you're watching us, you can see this. But for those listening on the radio, why don't you paint this picture with words, Joan?
Okay, well, Brian Mahieu works in a somewhat impressionistic style. He was very influenced by Claude Monet, and he loves to go out in the open air and paint. And so this is a picture that was painted in below freezing weather out in a field by the Missouri River in Callaway County. So you see a grove of cottonwood trees in the distance close to the river, but in front of that is a kind of rough, a bit of snow-covered ground. And there's this sense of a kind of a cold, maybe kind of a punishing landscape. But then there's this beautiful streak of gold in the sky, and there's pink in the sky. So there's this sense of the beauty of nature, the punishing winter Missouri landscape, and yet you've got this kind of overwhelmingly beautiful scene that reflects those cycles of life.
But you really did paint. You painted a beautiful picture with words. I can close my eyes and I'm seeing this picture without looking at it.
Well, I should mention there's a lot of lapis blue in the painting. So he actually started with a lapis blue ground and then painted the snow and the other colors on top of it. So, and one of the fun things you can do in the gallery is Brian, when I first chose this picture, he said, oh, we have to look at it in low light. So we turned down the lights of the gallery, and you get this whole different vision if you look at it in lower light, the kind of light that he actually saw it in as the sun was setting in the landscape. So if you come to our gallery, we're going to have this up on a temporary display, up on an easel in the gallery.
Yeah, and this is a big
it's a big.
I'm holding a
small
reproduction of it, but this is a big painting.
Yeah, this is like close to 3 feet wide, 2 feet tall, big, impressive Missouri impressionistic landscape. And what I loved about it and why this was a great choice for us was it has a universal quality. I mean, winter is often a time of hardship, but there is always that knowledge that spring is coming, and there's this beautiful quality to the sky that's suggestive of that. And it also, after talking to Brian, it relates to his own experiences. He had a tough time in Missouri in many ways. He was from a small town, and he came to the University of Missouri, and he tried to integrate with the people that he was around, and at the time he was dealing with his sexuality, and he tried for 19 years to change his sexuality, and that was a very difficult and hard thing for him. And as the culture has become more open, he's accepted himself for who he is, and I think he is happier. And he talked about that grove of cottonwood trees sort of reflecting his own integration into society, feeling more welcomed by people for who he is. He was telling me that the most important thing to him is to be authentic, to go out into the landscape and paint the authentic vision that he sees, and to be authentic as a person.
And for 19 years, he was not being authentic to himself.
That's right. And he went through a lot of difficult times. He went through exorcisms to try to change his sexuality, and a lot
He
of...
went through exorcism?
Yeah. I mean, it was tough for him. I mean, it was a really painful time in his life. But I think we all have those struggles. We all have, maybe not exactly the same as his, but struggles where we're dealing with difficulties in our life. And what Brian sees is how the landscape can reflect those things. And we can all find a kind of a common human experience in looking at the landscape and feeling that power, that kind of universal thing that we're all experiencing.
Yeah.
And it maybe helps us to understand what he went through a little bit better.
Yeah, yeah. So this painting that he did is really a very emotional, powerful painting.
I think so.
In his life.
In his life, yes. And I think people will find he's just a wonderful painter, very expressive, even though he's painting what he sees out there in nature. But there's so much power in his vision that I think a lot of people will really like this painting. And I want to encourage people to come by the State Historical Society.
And it will be there.
It will be there for the next few months, through August and September.
Yeah. So if the people want to come by the State Historical Society, your hours are?
Oh, we are open Tuesday through Saturday, and during the week we open at 8 and close at 4:30. The gallery closes at 4:30, and then on the weekends, on Saturday, we open at 8 and close at 3:15. And we are downstairs in Ellis Library, first floor, east wing, with entrances off of Lowry Mall and Hitt Street. So I want to encourage people to come see this painting. It'll be up through the rest of July.
Are you displaying this painting in the lower light as he requested?
Well, what I'd like to do is encourage people to ask the gallery attendant if they will turn the lights down. We'll try to arrange it so that maybe we can just turn one bay of lights off and people can get that experience, because it is pretty powerful. The painting changes.
It does change
in
the light.
It sort of seems to glow in the low light.
All right. Joan, thank you so much for coming by. You painted a beautiful picture with words on this. And people go by and you can look at this painting and try to immerse yourself into it and the feelings and the power of it.
Oh, thank
Joan
you.
Stack from the State Historical Society. It's always a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.
All right. We're out of time for today. Tomorrow, David Newman will be with us. We want to remind you that our program is directed by Travis McMillen of the Reynolds Journalism Institute. Audio is Pat Akers from KBIA. Our floor director is Kai-Shu Zhao. And our assistant producer and guest coordinator, Uncle James Mauser. Drop me an email, pepperp@missouri.edu. Bye-bye.